There you are.
Ladies and gentlemen, the GOAT in the toughest environment in the SEC. His words, not mine. Ladies and gentlemen, Coach Nick Saban. Coach, obviously the story of you talking about Vandy a couple of years back on this particular program took on a life of its own because what Vandy would go on to become and what they are now. $130 million renovation of this brand new stadium they opened up in August. How does it feel to be here and understanding that this Vandy football team is for real and also feels like they're invested for the future down here, which is abnormal for the SEC, obviously?
Yeah, well, there's no question about it. I mean, that wasn't there when the last time I was here. This wasn't here. The basketball arena wasn't there. So they have made a commitment. And it's working, and I think it's good for the league. And I have picked against them time and time again, and I want everybody out there to know that I am a J.O. You know what that means? I'm jumping on the bandwagon.
A lot of people jumping on their bandwagon here. Mizzou, also very good football team. Game day here for Vandy Mizzou, seemingly very improbable. But with the NIL and transfer portal, all these teams have a chance to make big-time leaps in their talent level, especially if they have supportive, kind of boosters. What have you seen from Vandy? What have you seen from Mizzou? And what are your thoughts on that as a whole?
Yeah, well, I think that the culture of college football now relative to no guardrails gives places like this the opportunity, if they want to make a commitment, which they did here, not only in the facilities, but they have a competitive, collective where they have a chance to get some of these players in. They made some academic adjustments where they can get some transfers in that are freshmen, sophomores, or graduates. So they've done the things that they needed to do to have a competitive program, and it's paid off for them. And, I still say this all the time. This is a great academic institution, but the window that people look at this institution is really going to be a lot through the athletic program, and there's no way that they can get more exposure than having game day here and playing in a big game like they did last week against LSU and they're going to do this week against Missouri.
Yeah, Diego Pavia feels like a guy who's ready for the moment. Same with Coach Lee. Good for them. Happy for them. You talked about how, you got to be able to live up to the hype, can't be a flash in the pan. They're the faces of kind of creating a whole new culture overnight alongside Indiana as well. What is different, you think, between those two particular programs as opposed to people that have used NIL and been good and then got bad? Why do you think these two have been kind of sustainable here for the first couple of years?
Well, I think that, first of all, Kirk Cignetti's done a really good job of, everybody uses the term rat poison, but he's done a good job of controlling the spotlight on his team and keeping his guys focused. The more distractions you have, the more fragile psychologically your people become in terms of their ability to sustain success. Consistency in performance defines success to me, not just having one successful game or season or whatever. And he's done a really good job of that. I think this is still the question mark for Vanderbilt. Can they deal with the flash? Can they deal with the success? I saw signs at Alabama when they played a couple weeks ago down there, you were there, where that wasn't the case. So can they do that? Did they learn their lesson there? And can they finish this season strong? Which, if they do, they're going to have a chance possibly to get in a playoff.
Boys, Coach was so pissed that Diego was practicing victory formation at Warble. So pissed. It was.
That is a weird thing to practice in warm-ups, isn't it?
I can understand that.
Look at it right now. He's shaking his head. He's about to puke.
What's that about, Coach?
I love Diego, but that would have been a catastrophic player-coach relationship moment before the game. I mean, I never wanted our players to ever do anything. I didn't even let them talk to the other team. I never wanted them to do anything that was going to affect the other team's motivation to beat us. So don't ever say anything. Don't ever give anybody a reason They got enough reason to want to beat us. Don't give them any more.
Yeah, everybody wants Bama, brother. And the reason is because the way you were able to kind of psychologically put your boys into positions to success for so damn long. And everybody does it differently. Diego has certainly captured the entire world by storm. And us talking to him last week, he seems like he is just continuing to mature every single week and get used to it. Absolute dog, though.
He is that, man.
He is an absolute dog. I'm very appreciative of him in college football. Tone has a question for you back in the Thunderdome.
Yeah, Coach, there are a lot of job openings already this year, and there's a lot of pros and cons to every single job opening. If you are a coach that is, being lured in by these schools, what do you look for? What is most important to coaches when they go to these schools? Is it NIL? Is it recruiting base? Is it the AD and president and support of the school? Is it, facilities? There's so much that goes into these coaching. Or is it where you're from? Is it your alma mater, stuff like that? What do these coaches look and what do they value most when they're looking at potentially going to a new school that's offering them?
Well, where you're from has nothing to do with it, but all of the other things that you mentioned absolutely do. And I think that the most important thing when you take a job is how do you establish the ground rules going in? All right, you got all these people giving money so that you can pay players, but does that come with them having some influence on what happens in the program and how you coach your team and how you coach the players and all that? So, to me, when I took a job, I said, okay, this is how it's going to be. I'm not listening to the board of trustees. They're not telling me who to recruit. They're not telling me who to play. I'm not. So understand that going in and go tell them before I take the job because I'm not listening to that. All right. So that was that because I didn't want to have to deal with that. Yeah. So you need to set the ground rules for all those things. What is name, image, and likeness going to be like here? How is our administration going to be involved? What's the academic circumstance that you're going to support so that we don't have issues when it comes to academics? Facilities are important. They're not as important as they used to be because you could have the nicest facilities in the world, but if you don't have any money to pay the players, they're not coming. All right? So all those things are factors, but I think establishing the ground rules before you get there is the most important thing.
Can't be house poor, huh? You're saying the facilities used to matter, but now if we're going to do $45 million in the facilities or $35 million in the players, let's go ahead and feed these players.
Feed the players.
If we can do both.
Feed the beast.
Yeah, let's certainly do that. Feed the stud, brother. Yeah. That isn't a bad strategy, actually, across any of the parties. You said being from somewhere maybe shouldn't factor in as much as it has. Clark, here he is Vandy guy, and there's a lot of quotes of him talking about becoming the #1 program in the country. I think Kenny Dillingham also, he's very proud to be from the Valley over there at Arizona State. Some of these jobs, though, are about to make some pretty crazy offers, right? Wouldn't you think? Florida, Penn State, there's obviously huge jobs on the horizon that are going to be available. Virginia Tech just said they're putting in $229 million into it. Feels like there's going to be a lot of big-time numbers for some of these coaches. Do you agree with that as well?
I absolutely agree with that. I think there'll be some huge numbers, but I also think that some of the guys that you mentioned, Clark being here, Kenny being at Arizona State, they probably understood how to set the ground rules and what the place needed to do because they had previous experience here, which probably helped them set the table for what they needed to do in the future.
Got it.
My point was, just because you're from someplace doesn't mean it's going to help you win. But I think if you have knowledge and they're willing to make a commitment to doing those things, then you got a chance.
Yeah, there's a man standing right over there. We're talking about how much money these coaches are going to get. Somebody else is going to be getting a little bit of cash off all these deals, too. Big Deluxe is over there wearing his white khakis. We're in his town right now. He lives in one of these penthouses. I don't know which one it is, but there's going to be a new one on the way with this new job opening. Penn State and Florida. Jeez Louise. There's going to be a lot of money in Jimmy Sexton's pockets in about a week.
I want to stay retired. And I do not want him anywhere near Miss Terry. Because when she hears some of these numbers, she gets interested. And I ain't interested.
That was last week. I believe that was last week whenever the question in the grab bag was, who's going to be the next coach of Penn State? And it was just so easy because everybody on the internet had put you there. Penn Staters were like, Penn State needs to go to Nick Saban and say, any number that he wants. So then we bring in, obviously, Miss Terry, the boss.
I mean, there's a lot of names. Obviously, we'd assume that they're trying to turn over every single stone.
Absolutely.
Hey, don't be scared about John Gruden maybe taking a job up there in Happy Valley. And on that note, when you talk about GOATs, this guy's name has been mentioned a lot, certainly on the internet, because of the amount of funds that Penn State has. Now, Coach, I don't want to hear it from you. Let's ask the boss, Miss Terry. Hey, Miss Terry, they offer $50 million a year. You guys going to coach at Happy Valley?
Look, Pat, I have no doubt if Nick wanted to go back to coaching, he could win his 8th national championship, but we're having too much fun, and we wouldn't want to take that opportunity away from all of our baby coaches like Kirby and Ray.
Yeah, you're right.
Too much fun. I haven't heard a number yet, Pat.
Okay, well, 50 is not enough, it sounds like, but there is a number, Coach. A lot of Ferraris.
There's
A lot of
a number.
Ferraris.
Mrs. Always Right has spoken.
And she goes, I haven't heard a number yet. And I was like, oh, wait a minute. That just made athletic directors out there go, okay, ho. That wasn't a complete no there. That was we could kind of work with this at this stage. Okay?
No way.
All right.